Okay guys, today we're going to take a look at halfway troubleshooting with the oscilloscope for the power supply challenge from ETC-AI. So again, as just a general reminder, the functionality of a power supply and some basic performances are gone through in an overview here of kind of what we're looking at. This is a bridge rectifier that is being used, but power supplies all function in a similar manner. And you can look at the oscilloscope settings up here as they go through them. Let's go ahead and click on half-wave troubleshooting and see what we get here. The specifications for the power supply we're looking at is a 6-volt voltage regulator, which means our input should be at least 2 volts above that, at least on the 8-volt range. Seeing as our transformer secondary is a 10-volt, we're going to be somewhere between that, getting into the voltage regulator here. Now, your oscilloscope setting has both a DC and an AC sense to it, and the volts to divisions are controlled right here. Generally, I would advise there's usually no need to play with the positioning, and I'd advise not to do a lot of position shifting with your oscilloscope because it's very easy to get it off center. If you ever want to get it back to center, just come back to your 50 volt and take a look at your line voltage going in. So that's where we're going to start. Here's our line voltage going in, and notice on the AC or the DC sense you end up with the same waveform, no change here. We're 50 volts to the division. That's because our input is probably around 330. If you take the peak-to-peak voltage from a 120 RMS, you're going to be just shy of 340 volts coming into that. And if you look here, squares, this is 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and that would be 300. And then you got about half a square either way, so we're just shy of our 350 area. We're probably about 340 volts, making sense with our calculations from peak to peak. So no real worries here. Do you have a sine wave? That's basically the main thing you want to look at. And you should have that same sine wave on the other side of the switch if the switch is good. And that same sine wave coming into the primary coil contact of your transformer. So we are looking good on the AC input side of things, and generally this is where I would start my troubleshooting, right here, and I can work backwards if I detect a flaw. Otherwise we work forward. So let's get the other side, the secondary coil, and we do have voltage there. You can move this to 5 volts to the division. There is your AC sine wave coming in prior to accessing the diode. Now when we access this side of the diode, we're into a DC sense, and we actually have a problem here because we're seeing that there's no filter variation going on here. We're seeing just that pulsating DC that you see from a half-wave rectifier. This is a half-wave signal. You might think, well, that's good. We only have one diode and it's working, but the fact is our capacitor is not working because this is all of the same input all along this trace here. If this capacitor was working, I should see a filtered waveform here prior to getting into my voltage control regulator. So my problem with this transformer is the capacitor because my half-wave signal is not filtered. I'm not seeing this cascading ramp filling the peaks and valleys that are expected with a large filter capacitor like this one right here. So our capacitor is the flaw here. We grade the selection, and we move to our next one. So again, I like to start on my primary coil right here, and notice that on the primary coil I have no signal, which means my error is on this side. So let's back up. Let's look at the other side. Look at the fuse here, and again, there's nothing there. So my switch is my problem because on this side of the switch I have a good signal. On this side I do not. Switch is the flaw there. So we'll go ahead and grade the selection, and we'll move forward from there. And again, I like to start here. Look at my input. I have a good input waveform. I have a decent output secondary waveform. Let's come to our diode side of things. I do have that pulsating DC signal, but again, I don't have a filtered signal here. So the filter is our issue, or capacitor is the flaw. So we'll grade the selection there. We're good. Let's move on. So again, start out here, primary coil. Here's, I got a good input. I don't have an output here on my secondary. Now, this can be one of two things. It could be the secondary coil. It could also be the primary coil. To double check, if you want to check the secondary side, we can double click on the secondary side, pull an ohm meter out here. When I turn that ohm meter on, I am looking and I see that the secondary coil has a flaw, or has an infinite resistance there, meaning there's some kind of open in that secondary coil. The secondary coil of my transformer is my problem. So we'll go ahead and grade that selection, and we'll move on to the next one. Now, I was deducted. I did take a hit for pulling that ohm meter out in my points here, but generally speaking, that's a way of guaranteeing or your guess that that's right. So let's start here. Look, I got an AC input. I have an AC output. Let's take a look at our diode side of things. Oh, we do have a filtered waveform, so we can go down here. Now, here's a situation where if I put it on AC sense, puts it right in the middle, so I can see that the filter is working fine here. And let's actually look. Let's move a little further here. Let's go to a DC sense again, and let's take a look to see what's going on. What's going on the output side of our voltage regulator. Notice my output, my line is fixed right at 0. I am not getting the output spec that they're looking for on this one, 5 volts, and I'm not seeing an output. So it's my voltage regulator that's a problem. I would have a straight line like I do here, but not at the mid mark, not at the 0 mark. It should be 1 square, or actually 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. We are 5 from our base there. So we're going to say our regulator is our problem and grade the selection. Okay, and so that's our issue. Next power supply, let's take a look. We're going to start here with our 50 volts to division, or AC input. Got an AC input there. We got a AC output. We're going to take a look at the other side of the diode. Okay, so I have nothing here. On the other side of the diode, I should see at least half-wave rectification if the diode was good, or the filtered waveform. And just double check, make sure we're not getting a filtered waveform here. We are not seeing anything. So our diode is our problem, and that is D1. D2, D3, and D4 are not in this circuit because this is a half-wave rectifier. So let's go ahead and grade that selection. We're good. We can move on. Let's take our 50 volts to the division. And so here we're not seeing any kind of thing on the oscilloscope. Get on the other side of the fuse. The fuse is our problem here because we had nothing on this side of the fuse. We took the fuse out of what's between the probes, and we see an AC. So the fuse is our issue. I think at this point we've identified most of the problems that can exist here. You should have a general idea of how to proceed through this. I guess I only have 3 left, so I might as well finish them off for you here. But if need to, you can go ahead and end the video here and give your go at it. But I'll just go ahead and work my way through the remaining 3 problems. Next power supply. So I start with AC sense there. I got AC input. I got a good secondary. Take a look here at my filtered waveform. I do have a filtered waveform on a DC sense. My filtered waveform is up, which is where my positioning would need to come in. But I did get a good filter there. Let's see what we got on the output side of things and give that a DC sense. Looks like our voltage regulator is the issue here. So we'll go with the regulator as a problem, grade that selection, and move to our next one. So start with an AC. So no AC signal coming into the fuse. Nope. So it looks like our switch might be our problem. So here we are. You see the switch is the issue. So switch is the problem. Grade the selection. Move to our final one here. We've got 50 volt division, AC. Got AC input there. Secondary side. Okay, so transformer issue here. I'm going to pull an ohm meter out just to show you how to do that. It's either the primary coil or the secondary coil. Let's just take a quick look. We're going to double click this time on the primary side and use the ohm meter to check the primary side. So go ahead and turn that on. That's our primary side. That is the problem. You see the infinite resistance there, or the open coil wire. So primary is our problem. And we're going to say, say transformer primary there, grade the selection, and then score your print. So we're good to go. We got I recommend you score the disk, you store the grade on disk, and then turn in the PDF of your certificate. Good luck to you. Notice I did take a hit in my score. I didn't miss any of them and didn't get any of them wrong, except I took a hit in my score because twice I pulled the ohm meter out to check the transformer coil. This is something that you can actually verify by just looking at the frequency output, and you can take that gamble too of doing it without the use of the ohm meter if you like. You try to go for that 100%. Either way, good luck as you pursue half-wave rectification with the oscilloscope.